So this is a continuation of what to do if you know someone who self-harms. Part 2. Hear me out. Now, on the issue of those who struggle with self-harm or self-sabotage, for many different reasons, the first thing I would advise is to seek a counselor, someone well experienced with these things, to help and advise, whether in person, social media, so that you can be able to find out why you self-harm or some ways to help yourself to stop it. The second I would advise is to rest. When people self-harm, it's usually in times of emotional stress or being overwhelmed. A similar story happened with Elijah in 1 Kings, where he was threatened with death, ran away, and asked God to end his life. God didn't tell him your emotions or your situation is invalid, but he gave him food, allowed him to sleep, and when he woke up, he felt better. So when you like self-harming, it's good to get out of the room or place you're in, have a snack, take a nap, spend time with a family member. The principle here is to rest your mind and your body. The third thing is not to listen to your thoughts. When you self-harm, you can think you deserve what you're doing, but you're wrong. In Proverbs, it says the heart is deceitful above all else. You can understand it. A lot of what you think can emerge because of your emotional situation. So it's good to remind yourself to seek God and remember what He says about you. He says in Psalms, you're the apple of His eye. He says in Jeremiah, He knew you before you were in the womb. He says you're fearfully and wonderfully made. He says your circumstance and your thoughts don't define who you are. Because the same God who made the universe and everything you think is wonderful, in John 3 verse 16, said He loved you so much that He thought you were worth dying for. A lot of the times you can determine your value on what you think, but your value is in God. He says in 1 Corinthians that your body is His temple, so take care of it. Because a perfect God saw the body that you self-harm and self-sabotage as a beautiful home. And finally, ask God for help. Matthew 11 verses 28 to 30, He says, "Come to me, all who are weary, with heavy burdens, I'll give you rest." Ask Him to help see you valuing yourself. In Philippians 4 verses 16 to 17, He says, "Let your requests be known to Him, and don't be anxious. Read His word and see how valuable you are to Him." Ask God to help you find a way out of self-harm, because in a way, you could have found comfort in self-harming as a coping mechanism. He says there is power in His name to break any chain. He says in John that who the Son sets free is free indeed. Ask Him to liberate you. Don't be ashamed to go to Him, because just like the prodigal son who thought he was worthless, He will run to you with open arms. And finally, ask Him to help you to forgive. Your friends who might have contributed to this, your family, and yourself for thinking that you deserve what you went through. Because ultimately, forgiveness will set you free. This is an extract from one of my poems that I think can help you, and you may want to say when you want to forgive. "So I forgive you for every time you didn't think about me. I forgive you for every time you acted blind but you could see. I forgive you for every outburst that would hinder me from being who I was supposed to be. I forgive you because in the end, forgiving you is forgiving me." This is an extract from one of my poems, A Letter to My Flesh. So I hope you understand, and never forget that Jesus loves you.